Hi guys, it's me ChazzaHD and welcome to a live review of free practice here on the Friday of the 2019 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Now, I know you guys are wondering, where is the practice 2 watch along for the 2019 British Grand Prix? Well, I was going to do it, but an hour before the stream was supposed to start, I tried to turn on my Skybox and it told me there was no satellite signal. Now, I tried to fix it with the time I had, remaining until the stream was supposed to start, but I couldn't fix it in time. I'm going to try and fix it later to try and get it, ready for Saturday and Sunday and for the watch-alongs for those sessions. But because of that, and because also I couldn't find an alternative to watch practice 2 in time before the stream was supposed to start, that is the reason I had to cancel that stream, and that's why we're doing this stream right now instead of a practice 2 watch along. Now, when it comes to watch alongs for Saturday and Sunday for the British Grand Prix of 2019, what I'm going to try and do is try and fix my Skybox and wonder why it's not working, but also if it doesn't work, I will try to find an alternative so I can still cover the 2019 British Grand Prix this weekend for you guys and do a watch along on Saturday and Sunday. So don't worry, I am going to try my best and we'll try and get something sorted for the rest of the weekend. But we are of course now at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix and practice today has occurred. And before we get into the results of practice and what happened, great news that happened a couple days ago is that Silverstone is remaining on the calendar in Formula 1 until 2024. Great news. It was to be expected because there's no way Formula 1 was ever going to get rid of Silverstone because it's such a great track, so much history, and is one of the best racetracks in the world. So there was no way it was going to leave the calendar. It's great for it to be on the calendar, and hopefully it will stay on for a very, very long time. But now let's get into what happened today in practice. Now, first off, here are the practice 1 results. I will get into the practice 2 results later on after I have looked at all the teams. So, in practice 1, which was slightly interrupted by rain, Pierre Gasly was actually fastest, from Bottas 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Leclerc 5th, Vettel 6th, then Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Albon, Sainz, and outside the top 10 was Norris, Perez, Kvyat, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Russell, Raikkonen, Grosjean and Kubica. Again, because practice 2 has literally just finished and the final results have not officially come out yet, I will show those later on after we have gone through the teams and looked at how they have been today and how their car looks so far at Silverstone. Now, despite the technical issues I have had, I have managed to catch some clips of practice 2 at Silverstone, so I do know kind of how the cars are so far this weekend, but of course there is a long way to go. Now, let's start off at the very top. Mercedes do have the best car, but they don't have a massive gap to teams like Ferrari and Red Bull, not like they did at, say, Paul Ricard or Barcelona or tracks like that. It's probably, to the next team, it's probably quarter of a second. I don't think Mercedes have half a second in their pocket. I just don't think they do. But you have to say, their car so far does look like it is the best car at Silverstone. Valtteri Bottas has been very quick today, faster than Hamilton all day so far, or all, weekend so far. But yeah, things are looking good for the team. I think they may be looking better than they actually are because Ferrari might be holding something back. They have been doing that a couple times in the last 2 weekends, have Ferrari. They have been holding back pace compared to how they go in qualifying. So it might actually be a bit closer at the top. But so far for the Silver Arrows, things are looking very good. And I think it will be very close, by the looks of it, between Bottas and Hamilton in qualifying tomorrow. Now, for Ferrari, at the moment, they do look like they're about a quarter of a second off the pace. That is slightly disappointing because I thought they would be closer by, say, a tenth and a half. But again, as I've said, they may be holding something back. They might not be running as high revs as Mercedes are, or they might just not be running as lower fuel. So we'll see tomorrow in qualifying what the real pace of the Ferrari is. I will say though, the back end of this Ferrari does not look that stable. Their new floor that they brought to Paul Ricard still isn't on the car because it failed miserably at that Grand Prix. So they're still running the old floor, and it appears because of that and because they have a lack of, say, development to that area of the car, the rear end of the car, they are struggling a bit on the rear end, and they were a couple times during practice too, struggling at the rear end of the car. But I'm hoping Ferrari are holding something back, because if they are, then we are in for a very close qualifying between the top four: Bottas, Hamilton, Leclerc, Vettel. But things so far not looking too bad for Ferrari. It's definitely been worse at times in 2019 than it has been so far this weekend at Silverstone. Next up is Red Bull. Red Bull, to me, look quite good actually. Now, they might not be as quick as Mercedes or Ferrari, but to be honest, when it comes to qualifying pace, that's to be expected, because if you look at how they were last year, they were miles off the top four, and again, Mercedes and Ferrari. And going into this weekend, we knew, because of the way the track is, that Red Bull, when it came to qualifying pace, would be on the back foot. The only interesting thing for me is that Pierre Gasly was ahead of Max Verstappen today. That's a bit surprising, but I think Max Verstappen was not exactly at his absolute best today, and I'm sure will be a lot better tomorrow. But in terms of the pace of the Red Bull car, it's not as bad as it was, say, last year in terms of qualifying pace. And I think Red Bull are probably, say, I don't know, a quarter of a second closer than they were expecting to be, probably when it came to qualifying pace. So Red Bull are not looking too bad. They're not looking great, but not looking too bad. But now, let's get into that midfield. Renault, to me, look as though they are better than Austria, but not by that much. I think Daniel Ricciardo, for example, I think Ricciardo can definitely get in that top 10, and I think he will be in that top 10 this weekend, but it's very close with other teams such as Alfa, even Toro Rosso so far. So it's still not looking that great for Renault. And I think we have to say, based on the races we've had so far this season, and I think we have had enough time this season to say this, that fundamentally the Renault is not a good car. It's not a good car. Good cars fundamentally are good at most tracks, if not all, such as the Mercedes car or the McLaren in the midfield. The McLaren is fundamentally a good midfield car because the McLaren is good at basically every track. The Renault just isn't. It really isn't. And I think Renault are in for definitely a tough fight if they want to be in that top 10 for the rest of the weekend, because things are looking very competitive in that midfield. I think Renault probably will be a top 10 runner in qualifying tomorrow. And I think the pace so far from what we've seen today is definitely, again, it's better than Austria, but it's not massively better. So because of that, I think Renault are in for a tough fight if they are to get into the top 10. Next up is McLaren, and well, McLaren are once again, no surprise, the best team in the midfield, and that's going to be the case for the rest of the weekend. Practice so far has been really good, and I think that'll just continue as the weekend goes on. The McLaren just looks very nicely balanced around Silverstone, and I think, to be honest, given where we've been racing the last two races, Paul Ricard and Austria, I think, honestly, at Silverstone, they're going to be just as good as they were there, because there are similar characteristics with those tracks compared to Silverstone. So things are looking very, very good for this team. And I think if Pierre Gasly again is struggling, like he has done in the past couple qualifying sessions, then I think we can definitely see a McLaren in the top 6 on the grid for the race on Sunday, because as we've seen so far in practice, the pace is there. But again, it really does depend on how Gasly performs. If he performs how he has done so far this weekend, then probably Red Bull will get that third row. But you never know, McLaren could appear on that row of the grid. Next up is Alfa Romeo. They've had a bit of a not so great day. They have brought some upgrades to this Grand Prix, but they haven't had the smoothest day in terms of a free practice day. Kimi Räikkönen stopped on track because of an ICE issue. Hopefully that doesn't mean a grid penalty for this race or later in the season. So not great for him, and that definitely did affect his running today because he was out of sequence, especially compared to his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi. But if you look at Giovinazzi and where he's been today, especially in practice too, the Alpha is definitely quick when the drivers get that lap in and get it absolutely nailed. The car is quick, but they just need to get the lap in and not have any other reliability or issues on track in terms of driving. So the pace is there for the Alpha, but they're just yet to, so far this weekend, consistently show that. Next up is Haas. What an absolute joke this team has been so far this week in terms of people they are, say, dealing with. Let's just put it as that. And by the way, guys, once I get through the teams and also look at the practice 2 results and come to you guys in the live chat to get your thoughts of, you know, what's happened today in practice, I will get onto, don't worry, the whole rich energy stuff. I will go onto it and really analyse the situation and give my thoughts as to what I think has really happened and what I think will happen going forward. But yeah, for Haas, in terms of pace today, not that good. And for Romain Grosjean, he has been terrible today. He was, basically right at the back in practice 1, really the same in practice 2, and in practice 1 he crashed on the exit of the pit lane. Romain, this season has been so bad. Again, I know the Haas hasn't been that good, but he really has been poor, and I don't see how the guy remains on the grid in Formula 1 past 2019. By the way, if you want to continue with, you know, possible driver lineup changes for 2020, I did upload a video about that, and it's in the description down below. It's called My F1 2020 Driver Lineup Predictions. You can go and check that out. And yeah, it's just me giving my predictions for what I think the driver lineups will be for 2020. And yeah, you can go and check that out. That's the last video on my channel. Next up, Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso, so far this weekend, looking slightly better than they have looked in the last couple races beforehand. Really, in France and Austria, the car wasn't that good, and they never really were that quick at any point during the key parts of the weekend. But so far, here at Silverstone, the Toro Rosso looks to be slightly better than I was expecting, and I think the team were expecting. They look as though they can sneak into the top 10. Hopefully they can do that tomorrow. But yes, so far for Toro Rosso, things are looking pretty good. And hopefully for them, that will continue. Racing Point, last team in the midfield. I think they do have the worst car in the midfield still, and I think that will continue this weekend. I think at this race, they probably have a better chance of being a bit higher up on the grid, because I think this track will not be as bad for them as other circuits, but I think they will still be overall the worst team in the midfield. And of course, at the back of the grid is Williams. But guys, right now, in the live chat, let me know, what do you think of the pace so far at Silverstone? And is it what you've expected, not expected? And how are things for you going into qualifying tomorrow? Let me know in the live chat, and I'll make sure to read out your comments before we go on to the rich energy stuff. But before I do, just want to say, don't forget guys to subscribe for more content like this, as I will continue with British Grand Prix content tomorrow. Hopefully a watch along, not confirmed, but hopefully a watch along tomorrow and on Sunday, and a review of qualifying in the race also. So don't forget to subscribe for that if you are new. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there, or go to my homepage, subscribe and hit the notifications bell, and also smash the like button if you want to see content like this continue on the channel. But before I come to you guys in the chat and get the results of practice 2 up, let me quickly have a drink and then I'll get onto it. Right, so I'm now going to quickly go and find those results, and then I'll come to you guys in a moment. By the way, great to have 112 of you, I think it is, currently watching. Great to have you all along. Again, it's a shame we couldn't do a watch along earlier for practice, but again, issues happen. I didn't expect this issue to happen. I thought everything would be fine and we'd be able to do the watch along, but again, issues happen. Life is not always so simple, and hopefully I can find an alternative if my Skybox still isn't playing ball. So yeah, hopefully I can still do a watch along for qualifying and the race tomorrow, because I think we are in definitely for a good weekend of racing, because the field, the front 3 teams in the midfield look pretty close compared to most weekends. So hopefully we can get that. I'm just going to get the results quickly. I couldn't show the practice 2 results earlier, by the way, because the results were not confirmed when I went live. So that's why I've done that. And let me just quickly get these results on screen for you guys. It was, just to confirm, it was a Mercedes 1-2 in practice 2, and then a Ferrari 3-4. Let me just try and get them on screen for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. And now I should be able to get it up for you guys. So let me just get it. And then I'll read out some of your comments. And then we'll get into the rich energy stuff, because that stuff is very, very interesting. By the way, guys, if I am lagging, sorry about that. My computer isn't exactly at its fastest right now, which is really annoying, but there you go. And right, hold on a minute. Let me get these results up. So here we go in just a moment. Come on. And here we go. So here is the final classification of practice 2. So Bottas was top, from Lewis Hamilton 2nd, Leclerc 3rd, then Vettel 4th, Gasly 5th, Norris in 6th, Verstappen 7th, then Sainz, Albon, Perez. Perez, by the way, though, did his quali sim a bit after the other drivers, so I think that's mainly due to the track ramping up. And then it was Kvyat, Magnussen, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Renault not really looking that great, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Grosjean, way back there, and then Russell, and then Kubica, and then Russell. So there you go. Results of practice 2 are up there. And now let's come to you guys in the chat and see what you guys have to say By the way, hello to Red Surf Boy, who says, Chaz, what's up, bro? Everything is going better now than it was earlier, because of course I was supposed to stream earlier, practice too, but issues happened. And I just want to stress again, the issues I have has nothing to do with making videos. It's just I can't at the moment watch the sessions. That's not it shouldn't be a too difficult thing to fix, but again, because of the timing I found out about this issue, I didn't have enough time to come up with, you know, an alternative to watch practice 2 and cover it for you guys. So it shouldn't be too big of an issue, but when it comes to, yeah, content creation, that's not the issue. It's just I can't watch the sessions at the moment. JS says, hey Chazza, thanks for being so in depth. Thank you very much for that. Irvin says, hi Chaz, what a turnaround. Everybody thought that Haas was a strong midfield car. Yeah, it's getting worse and worse at the same time. McLaren is getting better and better indeed. Absolutely. Michael Arvin says, Chaz took a nap after getting drunk and forgot about us. Yeah. Eddie Webster says, Chaz, love your stream, helps a lot when I'm not home. Well, thank you for that, and hopefully, yeah, I do help keep you informed when you're not able to consume the streams in the way you normally would. Right, let me take a look at some other comments. Good evening to Spider Monkey. Let me look at some other comments here. Chaz, what do you make of the relative long run pace? I haven't had a chance to see it yet. Let me just quickly on Twitter go to this certain Twitter account, because this certain account does cover long run pace, but I don't know if this person has already covered it yet. No, he hasn't. So I don't know yet, but I will look later on. I'm going to assume that Mercedes have the fastest race car, and then maybe Red Bull a second and a Ferrari a third or something, because Ferrari did have, even on qualifying runs, they had blistering on their left front tyres, I believe. Well, definitely on the front tyres. So that is an issue for Ferrari that they're going to have to figure out how to get around, because remember 2 years ago at Silverstone, both cars had punctures because of bad tyre wear. And I believe it was both on the front left. So yeah, Ferrari have got to make sure no issues like that happen. JB says, or asks, Chaz, what would you say for the top 3 in quali is going to be at the moment? For me, it's probably going to be a Mercedes on pole, and then probably a Ferrari second, and then another Mercedes third. Or maybe 2 Mercedes on the front row and a Ferrari third. I don't think we'll see a Red Bull in there like we did in Austria. I don't think that'll happen. I think Red Bull will come alive on race day, but in qualifying, I don't think they'll be as quick as they were in Austria. But yeah, it's most likely going to be a bit more similar to, say, I don't know, Baku this weekend in terms of the pace at the top. Yosef says, thanks mate, great review, thank you very much. Ferrari will be holding back, I think. Leclerc looks pretty good at this track, says Sebastian. I am hoping that Ferrari are holding back, because I think if they can get, say, another 10th and a half out of the car, then they are definitely right there, of course, for pole position. So I'm hoping that there is more to come from Ferrari, because it would be very exciting to have a qualifying session like we had at the same Grand Prix last year, where we had a 3-car fight for pole position between Hamilton, Vettel and Raikkonen. Hopefully we can get something, you know, similar today, but definitely Ferrari are not as quick this weekend so far as they were after 2 practice sessions at the British Grand Prix last year. They're definitely not as quick compared to Mercedes and also Red Bull. Right, I'll read out a couple other comments and then we'll get onto the rich energy stuff and then get towards the end of this stream. Nathan, did you go to the Goodwood Festival of Speed? No, I did not, but I did see some clips from there and it looked pretty good. Right, let me find some others. JB, do you think Gasly has a chance of competing with Verstappen this weekend? No, I don't think he does. Yes, he is ahead of him in practice too, but there are mitigating factors when it comes to that. Max Verstappen, for some reason, couldn't improve on the soft compound compared to the first time he did, I believe, on the medium. So Max Verstappen can definitely go faster. No doubt about that. Right, let me find one more comment and then we'll get into the rich energy stuff. Bogdan, Bottas faster with medium than Hamilton with soft? I believe so. Yeah, I think Valtteri's lap time at 26.7, I think that was set on the medium compound. And then Hamilton got that close on the soft. So Valtteri Bottas is looking very quick. But again, anything can happen in qualifying. So don't think that the order that it is in practice 2 is going to be the order in qualifying. I think we can basically tell what the pace is. It's Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren. And then after that, I would probably say Toro Rosso, Renault, Alpha, Haas, Racing Point. I think so far that's probably the best guess you could come up with for the pace so far at Silverstone, but that won't necessarily translate into a good or bad position tomorrow for the teams that are and are not looking good, because especially in the midfield, because it's so close, driver difference does make a whole lot of difference in that midfield. But now let's get into this last topic before we get into the end of this stream. Now, I was going to cover this in the build up to practice 2 if I did do a watch along, but we're going to instead cover it now. So, a couple days ago, whilst of course the teams were building up for this British Grand Prix, Rich Energy, the title sponsor of Haas F1, came out with this tweet. Now, of course, it says today, that was 2 days ago, so this is what their tweet says. And by the way, yes, it is from their account. I confirm this. It says, today, at Rich Energy, terminated our contract with Haas F1 for poor performance. We aim to beat Red Bull Racing, and being behind Williams in Austria is unacceptable. The politics and PC attitude in F1 is also inhibiting our business. We wish the team well. Now, this came as a massive surprise. It really did. I couldn't believe that this was actually real, but it was. Now, to analyse this this tweet, there's 2 different things we really need to talk about. So let's first look at what they're saying in the tweet. So they're terminating their contract because of poor performance. Haas, you do have to say in the last few races have been poor, but I don't think that's, worthy of dropping them from a contract, or terminating a contract rather. Aiming to beat Red Bull is so unrealistic. Haas F1 will likely never ever beat Red Bull in a season. It's likely to never ever happen. So why they're trying to beat Red Bull it boggles my mind. It really does. I thought, honestly, at the start of the season when they were saying, oh, hashtag better than Red Bull, I thought they were just doing that to, kind of play a joke. But they actually believe this. They actually believe that they can beat Red Bull. And yeah, being behind Williams in Austria was unacceptable, but that was only one race, and there were issues that caused that, and Haas, I think, know what those issues are. It's tyres and tyre wear. The politics and PC attitude in F1 is also inhibiting our business, they say. The politics of F1 is very complex and it is very frustrating, so I can kind of agree on that. The PC attitude, I'll be honest, I hate political correctness. I absolutely hate it with a passion, but if you look at Formula 1, it doesn't really exist. I mean, yeah, you could probably say with the whole grid girls thing, that was probably done, removing them from the grid. That was probably because of political correctness, but F1 is not really a politically correct sport. So I don't see what they're on about. If it was about another sport that was definitely politically correct, that they were involved in terms of being a sponsor, then I could agree. But with F1, I don't agree. I think they're picking the wrong fight when it comes to that. But yeah, very weird tweet, honestly, that came out 2 days ago. Now, the other thing that people were theorizing on Twitter is that Haas are still in court, I think, with white bikes over the whole logo thing. And apparently, the court has asked Rich Energy to show their finances, I think. If I am wrong, make sure to correct me. But I believe that's the case. And if they were to have terminated their contract as that has been requested from the court, then that's probably because they don't actually have the money they claim to. Allegedly. I must make that point. Allegedly. But there you go. Now, yeah, that was tweeted 2 days ago. And then yesterday, this came out. This is from, by the way, racefans.net. You can find this on their website. It was posted on there a day ago. So if you want to go find the article yourself, make sure to do so. Rich Energy's shareholders released a statement to do with the tweet and the statement of, or the action of the tweet. So what they said was, the shareholders who own the majority of Rich Energy would like to clarify certain statements that have been circulated in the media from an unauthorized source. That's a difficult word for me to say, unauthorized. We wholeheartedly believe in the Haas F1 team, its performance, and the organization as a whole. And we are fully committed to the current sponsorship agreement in place. We also completely believe in the product of Formula One and the platform it offers our brand. Clearly, the rogue actions of one individual have caused great embarrassment. We are in the process of legally removing the individual from all executive responsibilities. They may speak for themselves, but their views are not those of the company. Now, let's analyse this statement. So, when they say certain statements that have been circulated in the media from an unauthorised source, how is it unauthorised? It's your Twitter account. It's the company's Twitter account. It's not like someone, like an insider, or what do they call them, a whistleblower that they sometimes call them in the media when it comes to secret sources and stuff like that. It's not like there's been an insider at the company that has come out and told the media, this is what's happening. They tweeted this out publicly. How is that an unauthorized source? I don't get how they can say that. That's not an unauthorized source. If I tweet out from my Twitter account that I'm terminating a contract with, whoever I'm dealing with, then it's not an unauthorized source, it's me. Now, maybe their Twitter account was hacked, or even though I don't think it was, but maybe, there was an employee there that was going out the door and decided to make this tweet to embarrass the company. But you can't say it's an unauthorized source. You cannot say that. I'm sorry, you cannot say that. And then the rest of what they said is, pretty bog standard for trying to respond to the claims that their own company made. But now, to do with this statement from the shareholders, let's go on to the final statement from William Storey, who is the CEO of the company, which completely contradicts everything before that has been said via the Twitter account and the shareholders. So, this is what William Storey had to say. The ludicrous statement by minority shareholders cozy with Red Bull and white bikes is risible. I think that's how you say the word risible. I don't know. I don't really ever say the word. Their attempted palace coup has failed. I control all of the assets of Rich Energy and have supported all of all key stakeholders. Now, this comment really muddies the waters, as they say, because again, it contradicts everything before that. The ludicrous statement by minority shareholders is this statement, which completely denounces this tweet. And they even say, and I believe this is who William Storey, by the way, is referencing, because I don't believe he's possibly referencing this tweet. In this statement, they're denouncing that tweet and saying, you know, we are fully committed to Haas F1 and all that stuff. But they even say in the statement, the shareholders who own the majority of Rich Energy. But then William Storey says the ludicrous statement by minority shareholders. So what is going on? Are they minority shareholders, or do they have a majority stake in the company? What is actually going on? And then it says cozy with Red Bull white bikes is risible. I don't get their beef with Red Bull. I mean, it was funny at first, but now it's just pointless. I don't get what they're trying to do. And then obviously the white bikes thing we all know about. Rich Energy, of course, allegedly have copied their logo. And then he says their attempted palace coup has failed. I don't see how they've tried to stage a coup. I don't get that. And then says, I control all of the assets of the company and have supported all key stakeholders. This completely, again, contradicts everything before that has been said by the shareholders and by their own Twitter account. So at this point, who actually knows what's going on? I'm going to be honest, guys. I think this company is absolute rubbish. I think everything they say is BS. I don't think they tell the truth at all. I think a lot of what they say is, again, complete rubbish. For example, William Storey, I think, came out and said, I don't know if it was last year or earlier this year, but came out and said that Rich Energy have sold 50 million cans, which is rubbish. They haven't sold 50 million cans, and I'm willing to challenge them on that, because I don't believe that to be true. But another thing that's really confusing is that if this tweet, let me go back to it, if this tweet is made by someone who has either hacked the account or a person that is, say, been let go and still has access to the Twitter, and this has happened before, by the way, on Twitter, where an employee has still had access to the Twitter and been let go by the company and then tweeted out some stuff that is basically shown up the company. If they do have access back to the Twitter account, if that has happened, why is this tweet still on their Twitter account if it's not true? Why is it still there if it's not true? I don't get what's going on. How can they, or how can, that's why I don't even know who the person is running the company anymore. The majority shareholders, how can they say that this isn't representing the company when it's still on their Twitter account? And basically, if you, let me just move this up and then go back to that tweet. If you look at this tweet and compare it to the other tweet or the comment from William Story, from what I can see, William Story is basically confirming what this tweet says, because at no point does he deny that Haas F1, or that they've cancelled or terminated their contract with Haas F1. He criticises, I believe, the same people that denied that they were cancelling the contract of Haas F1. So, if that is the case, then this is true, surely. Now, Haas are running those logos and sponsorships this weekend, because I don't think they have any time really to remove them, even if they, even though their base is, not that far away, they don't really have time to remove them. But from what I can tell, I think they have terminated their contract with Haas F1, but at this point, who knows? Who knows? This company comes out with utter BS all the time, and we don't even know at this point whether they're telling the truth or not. But through all of this chaos and mayhem, I think that this tweet you're seeing that has really in the F1 world gone viral, I think it's true. I think they have terminated their contract, because William Story is the CEO, and again, if you look at his tweet, it looks as though he's confirming this tweet, because also this tweet that says we aim to beat Red Bull, in this tweet he's criticizing Red Bull, and that's more so favoring this tweet than this statement. So I think that tweet is true. I think that they have cancelled their contract with Haas F1, but at this point, who honestly knows? Who honestly knows? But there you go. There is all the gist, really, of what's happened so far with this story. It's a crazy story. Hopefully it will keep developing, because I might honestly make a video on it soon, because it's so crazy. But I think through these statements and comments and tweets, I think the first comment or tweet is the truth. I think this is the truth. I don't think that this isn't the truth. I think William Story is kind of confirming that in his comment. And I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if William Story, again, allegedly, I think allegedly that he actually does control the Twitter account. I think this is probably him. Again, I am alleging that. I'm not saying that is absolutely for fact the case, but yeah, a very, and here is, by the way, William Story. There you can see him, or the top 3/4 of him. That is the story with this whole Rich Energy Haas F1 stuff. And I'll go back to this tweet, because this is the one we really, want to focus on. But there you go. That's all has happened so far. And again, based on all the evidence I've seen, I think that this is true. I think they have terminated their contract. And I think going into Hockenheim, I don't think you'll see their logos on the car. And if I was Haas, I would start right now beginning the process of finding a new title sponsor for 2020, one that is bulletproof in terms of its reliability and credibility, but also for their sake, I think it'd be best if they try to find an American title sponsor, because at least they'd have a better relationship and know more so about that company than this company, who just really is unprofessional with how they do things and how they tweet and make statements and stuff like that. And again, how this tweet is still on their Twitter account, if it's not true, is unbelievable to me. It really is. And if it's not true that they terminated their contract, why would the tweets still be up? Surely it is true if it's still up. So there you go. There you go. There's all your rich energy past stuff. And now for the next few minutes, I am going to read what you guys have to say. What are your thoughts, guys? Do you think they have terminated their contract of Haas F1, or do you think it's rubbish and that it's just, you know, someone hacked their Twitter account, or, you know, someone who got sacked recently who still has access to the Twitter password decided to make this tweet? Let me know in the live chat and also the comments of this video after the stream finishes, and I'll respond to what you guys have to say. But I think this is, again, I think this is the case. I think they have terminated their contract, because if you look at their tweets and their expectations so far this season and the way they operate as a company, I think they honestly have done this. I think they have. Right, let's look at some comments from you guys about this stuff. Let me just go to the start and see what you guys have to say. Mysterious Chris says it's a harsh statement. They were completely being unprofessional. Yeah. If you're going to terminate a contract of someone, if you're going to announce on Twitter, you don't do it in this way. You'll say, you know, today Rich Energy have terminated our contract with Haas F1 due to, I don't know, differences in direction of the team, or, you know, the famous phrase in, say, in media is creative differences. If you just come up with a bog standard, atypical explanation for why you split or parted ways, then that would be fine, because that's what most companies do when they announce that they've terminated a contract with another company or parted ways. But no, they went full like this, which is, I mean, they say unacceptable in the tweet, but I think this whole tweet honestly is unacceptable. Connor Chapman, this tweet shows just how out of touch their reality their CEO is, in quotations that is, CEO. Where even is this drink? Now Nib, as you guys know, Niblo, he was able to find a drink of theirs in Melbourne at a store that was not really that close to the track, and that it wasn't, you know, during the week of the Grand Prix. So it is out there, but you're going to have a tough time looking for it. And again, I don't care what they say, if they ever respond to what I've said, but there is no way in a million years they have sold 50 million cans in the last year or so, or whatever. There's no way they've done that. No way they've done that. Right, let me find some others. William's story let me do this comment by Han Solo Justice. William's story, Haas had enough of F1 politics, or William's story has had enough of F1 politics. I'm still really bad at doing Haas puns, but there you go. And again, Spider Monkey says, why is the tweet still there? Exactly. If it's bullshit, then why is it still there? If if someone takes over your Twitter account, and it's happened to, you know, thousands of people, someone takes over your Twitter or social media account and announces something that's not the case, what you would do normally is delete it once you got access back to it, and then make a statement saying, this is not true, blah, blah, blah. But their following tweet after that was this, which was completely contradictory to this statement by the shareholders, and basically vaguely confirmed that they have terminated their contract with Haas. So That's why I'm believing that they have done it. I think they have terminated their contract because there's no reason, if it's not true that they've terminated their contract, why is it still there? Why is it still there? Right, let me find some other comments from you guys. Crystal Racing says Williams' story is seriously crazy, not in a good way either. Yep, that is true. Connor Chapman says this shows no common vision in this team or their partners. I think these three statements, you know, the two tweets and the statement by the shareholders, I think that's enough evidence for Haas F1 to get well away from Rich Energy for 2020. Because this is a firestorm that has only just started. And once the whole court case, lawsuit, copyright lawsuit is finished, they're going to be in even more trouble, Rich Energy, than they were before. Doom Room Records says, by the way, I cannot find a can of them in Italy. Not that I want one. I haven't gone looking, but I can guarantee you, if I did, I wouldn't find a can in within 100 miles of where I am. I wouldn't find a can, guarantee it. And I guarantee you, if I asked the staff of a shop or a supermarket of this company, they'd look at me like, what are you on about? They'd probably ask what that even is. So yeah. Right, let me find some other comments here. Let me look. Crystal Racing says, no idea why Gene Haas felt he needed to sign a sponsorship deal with such a shady company. I get a feeling Haas's F1 business model is very restricted in its scope for success, and then says in brackets outsourcing chassis, etc. Well, if you look at Haas F1, in terms of what they have, it's not a lot of what they do themselves. I mean, Ferrari help a lot with their chassis. Obviously, Dallara. Ferrari help with parts. Of course, the power unit and gearbox. Yeah, Haas, they have an interesting business model. Let's just say that. Let me look at some other comments. Connor Chapman says, I find it crazy that they released that statement but haven't deleted the tweet. Nice research, Chaz. Thank you very much for that. I know if I had ever made a dumb or wrong post, the first thing you do is delete it. Absolutely. If you say something that is wrong, factually or whatever, you delete the tweet and then you make a follow-up tweet saying that's not how if it was again the case that the company had their account took over by someone who had just been let go, what a normal company would do is delete the tweet and then make a follow-up tweet right away saying this tweet, like the shareholder said, this tweet does not represent the views of the company, blah 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 blah. But they haven't done that. It's still there. You guys can go and look at it right now. That's how bad it is. Han Solo says, please stop talking about them. All they are after with tweets, or their tweets, is publicity. I think with this, though, I don't think it has anything to do with publicity, because I don't see how they possibly gain from this. I mean, as the saying goes, was it bad press is good press or something? Yeah. I understand why people sometimes think that, but I don't see how they as a company gain from this, because all they've done is shown their company up to be an absolute mess, because no legitimate company would be operating like they have in the last week, if not in the last year. They're just, they're a weird company, honestly. Let me find some other comments. JB says, and by the way, hello to Arturo. JB asks, where is Nib? Just wondering. He will be along for the race watch along. He's not around today because, well, it's his decision. He's not interested in practice, and I understand why. But yeah, he'll be around for race day as long as I can do a watch along for race day. So yeah, that will be happening. Right, I'll read out a couple more comments and then we'll get to the end of this stream. By the way, I think this is probably a worse situation in terms of a sponsor that turns out to be a load of rubbish. I think this is probably worse than the whole Nigerian Prince Arrows situation, I believe, in 1999, where Arrows apparently were funded by a Nigerian prince. And if you know your internet, you'll know that that is complete BS. Right, let me find a couple more comments. Mango Gamer, Rich Energy never come to F1 again. Well, that's the thing. We don't even know if they're in F1 or not. I mean, the Haas car is running their sponsors, but we don't actually know if the sponsorship is still active or not. But from what I can guess from the statements that have been made so far, I think after this weekend there won't be a partnership. I don't see how the Haas team having their logos on the car. I don't see it because I think they basically confirmed that. Let me just look at some. Let me just look at some comments. Trying to find one final comment so I can come to the end of the stream. And the one final comment is from Connor Chapman. If it's so wrong, then the tweet shouldn't be there anymore. Wouldn't the, quote, majority shareholders have access to that delete button? But they write out a Sky Sports article and still don't delete. Well, if the majority of the company believes it's in the best interest to delete the tweet, then the tweet should be deleted. But that's the thing, we don't know how this company operates. We don't know who runs the Twitter account, even though I do think it is William Story, allegedly. We don't know we don't know what's going on because this company just operates in such a weird way. They don't operate like a normal company should. They really don't. And I think from a Haas F1 point of view, and to be honest, from a Formula 1 point of view, hopefully they have terminated their contract with Haas, because I think, honestly, it's best for Haas, even though they will lose that money for the rest of 2019, I think in a couple years' time, once they've found a proper title sponsor, I think they'll be looking back thinking, yeah, thank God they terminated the contract with us because it was going to turn out to be a disaster. And I think if this partnership is still on for the rest of the season and going into 2020, I think that is worse for Haas. I think the best thing for Haas to do is get as far away from them as possible. But guys, that is it for the practice review stream. Thank you guys for coming along. Again, sorry about not doing a watch along for practice 2, but I had technical issues that I couldn't sort out in time to do the watch along, but I should be able to do a watch along for qualifying and the race. So don't forget to subscribe for that, bottom right of the screen, and also go to my homepage, subscribe and hit the notifications bell. And also don't forget to smash the like button if you want to see this content continue. Also, let me know in the comments whether you do want to see me do a video on this company. I understand some of you guys saying that I shouldn't give them, free publicity, but I think to a degree, if it's constantly bad publicity for them, I don't think it's going to help them if I did a video on them, criticizing them and showing them for what they are. I don't think that's going to help them. Yes, it'll put their name in the YouTube search algorithm, but I don't think it's really going to help them. I don't think harsh criticism from all parts of the internet helps anyone. So yeah, let me know if you want to see that video happen this year, and I'll definitely, make that type of video. But as also, comment down below what you thought of the video, and also comment down below what have you thought of the practice results so far and the pace so far for all the teams. Do you think Ferrari can go for pole tomorrow? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to join the Discord, link below in the description. That is the best place for notifications of my videos and streams. Sorry about my throat, it's very sore at the moment. Yeah, that's the best place for notifications of my videos and streams. And also, we have, I think, just under 300 people in that server. So if you do want to become the 300th member, then make sure to join the Discord, link below in the description. And also follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 and check out my website chazrhd.com for more content like this. Also, make sure you pay attention to the Discord and Twitter and the community tab on my homepage, because if I do have technical issues again, I will post on there as soon as possible to let you guys know if there's another cancellation or if we're moving videos around. So make sure to pay attention to those tomorrow and on Sunday. But guys, until tomorrow, qualifying day for the 2019 British Grand Prix at Silverstone, it has been me, ChazrHD. Goodbye.